Very well, welcome everyone, and thank you very much for being on here tonight. I know there's lots of pressures on time of people, so we appreciate you spending your time here with us for the next couple hours. So my name is Alvin Solomon. I am the chair of the Public Safety Committee that was just formed October 14th. Also want to mention Councilor Chang is also on our committee. The meetings are scheduled to be the third Wednesday of every month at 3 p.m. They are public meetings, so of course we'll talk more about that later. I just want to go straight into our agenda because I just want to maximize the amount of time that people will have to ask questions. I think everyone wants that. So in saying that, I just want to call upon Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick. He will be the MC for the agenda, and then I'll be coming back with the Q&A. So, Deputy Mayor.
Good evening, everybody. Just start us off with doing the land acknowledgement. I'd like to we acknowledge that we're on Treaty 5 territory, that the city of Thompson is located on the ancestral lands of the Scituate Sacred Nation. Respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making, and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. And right now, I'd like to call on Elder Jack Robinson to start us off with a prayer.
Thank you, and it's an honor to get you with the opening prayer. And as usual, I will start off in the language I was born with, that's in Cree. San Isimanto, Tromina, Tigapi, Wapano, Tromina, Tigapi, Savano, Tromina, Tigapi, Megapin, Tromina, Episcopi, Ibet. Inanaskomwa Isimantuka, Iniwa Peminia. Inanaskomwa, Ai Peminia, Nifi, Iscoteo, Itapagilzamwa. Kakiniwa Ai Peminia, Nanaskomana. Inanaskomwa, Ninangamino, Kakasita, Kamuta, Pemamia. Visete Kitimarisitaniseno, Skadisika. Jika paham jika itu mai becek ni koi mina mesti dia. Uskar sek mesti dia naik ni kawasan di sana kawasan mana minta tanah. Jadi pasti mua kan mua kata utara. Mana go mina kena ni wakuma. Hi. Our Creator, grandfathers, written up for directions. We give thanks to Creator for all your wonderful gifts on Mother Earth, fire, water, and the air that we breathe. We give thanks for the most wonderful gift of all, and that's life itself. We give thanks, O Creator, for all of us that are in good health, that are able to attend this evening. We pray for those that are unable to attend, the ones that are sick. We pray for the alcoholic, for the drug addict, and for the homeless. We pray for our children. We pray for our young people. So many are so lost today. We are losing a lot of our young people to alcohol and drugs. We pray that you give them protection. Guide. I pray now for the 16-year-old that's out there right now. Try to support her habit. We are losing our young people to alcohol, drugs, suicide, overdose. We ask for my Creator that you protect our young people, protect our little ones. That we ask for my Creator, grandfathers, grandmothers, and our religions. In respect to other people's beliefs, other religions and denominations, all this like to do the Lord's Prayer for those of you who wish to join me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you.
There's some chairs at the front.
There's up in front there. Okay, so we'll start off this evening on, I'm just going to introduce our panel for this evening, and we will have 4 presentations, and once the presentations are done, then we'll open up to Q&A from everybody. Okay, so we'll start on my left is Mayor Colleen Smook, City Manager Anthony McGinnis, Chief Dennis Benson, Thompson Fire and Emergency Service, Sonia Wiseman and Daniel Under, Public Safety, and Staff Sergeant David Michaud. On my right, we have Melanie Graham, Councillor Oswald Saul, Councillor Sandra Oberhofer, and Councillor Chu Chong, that's your Safety Committee, Councillor Duncan Wong, and Councillor Joyce McIver, and myself. Okay, so we're going to call on our first presentation from from Mayor Smook and City Manager Anthony McGinnis.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you. It's great to see such a great turnout tonight. And we'll keep it short and sweet so you can go and watch that baseball game. And hopefully it doesn't go till 1:30 in the morning or too late it did last night. Anyway, I'm here just to give you a short update of some of the things that we've done over the years that we've been in office over the last 10 years, and other presenters will fill in the details. We've had the Community Safety Officer program since we were in our first term of council. And at that time, the government funded 8 positions, and we're down to 4 now. And sometimes they're hard to fill, so we've been, pushing for training in the north to get that filled also. To train in the north, so you have northerners working in the north. So that's just one of the things that, we have done. Then we basically lobbied the government for funding for the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan. And they paid for that. It's time to update that. That actually expired at the end of 2024. So again, we'll be looking at upgrading and letting people know what we accomplished through that. Again, we have the largest RCMP force in Manitoba to support urban, so definitely lots of challenges there. And we are a community of just over 13,000 officially on the census. That's what we get tax dollars for. But we service a community closer to 65,000 when you take in, in the next around 200 kilometers there. So basically, very proud of all of our councillors and that. We have a great council that has worked together. Another thing we had hoped that we would get ISOs, Institutional Safety Officers, when they were announced a few years ago. We were so excited our hospital was going to have some security in that. And it just happened to go to everywhere but Thompson. So those are still things that we work with Justice and NRHA to hope to fill those positions. And another thing that we got going was Street Reach. Back 20 years ago, we had Street Reach in the north. So when we started approaching the government saying, we need help for the youth and what can we do? And, we have the Street Reach program. And they said, oh, you had it once, it didn't work. Well, we finally said, use this as a pilot project. And I must say the team at Street Reach is definitely doing a wonderful job up here in the north with our youth. And then we, part of our community safety well-being plan was to move the homeless shelter from the downtown area, which we've accomplished in doing that with Canadian Mental Health Association and MKO working with us to make those programs work. And it's a work in progress. Things don't just happen overnight and that. So definitely thank you to all our partners over the years that have done that. especially, and then I was on what they call the Cities Caucus, the top 10 cities in Manitoba, the mayors, we were on that Cities Caucus. So when I first started the Cities Caucus, on as the Cities Caucus, it seemed Thompson was the only one with any issues. You know, we had all the crime, we had all the break and enter, vandalism. After 4 years of Cities Caucus and everybody started to talk, the cities down south were literally locking their doors before people could go in. You had to phone to go into shop and that. So it's not just a Thompson problem, it's not even a Manitoba problem, even Canada-wide. It's definitely an issue that we all need to be part of, and that's where me, my councillors, our administration, we can go talk to the government, but we need all your voices behind us and with us at that level. Speaking of what we need and how we appreciate all that Elder Jack does with us and our team of our Thompson Fire and Emergency Services, just the response with the ambulance calls, the false alarms for the fires and that. These are all things that we've been working on and will continue to work on. So I'd just like to thank everybody for coming tonight. We're looking forward to letting you know what we've done over the years and getting some of your ideas and how we can start improving the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. And now I'd like to call on Chief Dennis Benson. Oh, sorry, Anthony.
All right. Thank you. Council's asked me to give an overview of a number of the public safety initiatives that Council's been working on over the past few years. So in terms of public safety, when it comes to Council's budget, it's the largest area of the operating spending in their budget. For this year, it's 12.5 million roughly that's being spent. That pays for your RCMP, Thompson Fire Emergency Services, the community safety officers, bylaw enforcement, which is your animal control, licensing taxis, enforcement, as well as building inspections and emergency measures. For budget 2025, Council actually increased the budget by 2%, specifically for public safety. Those extra dollars were earmarked towards wildfire equipment in preparation and in response to the wildfire, as well as for something that they're creating that's called the Crime Suppression Unit with the RCMP. That new unit is going to cost around $750,000, and the province of Manitoba is providing $250,000 to help get this started. So what's the Crime Suppression Unit? This is a 4-officer RCMP unit that's supported by the 4 community safety officers. The unit is to focus on the downtown social and public disorder issues. Several years ago, before this was approved by council, RCMP wanted to do a test to see if this would work. They did a 2-day blitz. Within those 2 days, they issued 59 bylaw tickets, which added up to about $10,000 in fines, 27 liquor and gaming commission tickets having to do with alcohol or substances. That was about $24,000 in fines, and 25 people were arrested as a result of that blitz. So the official request was made by council. That was submitted to Ottawa back in December of 2024 to create the CSU, and the RCMP is working now on standing up that unit and staffing. As the mayor mentioned, we also have a community safety and well-being plan, which is supported by this Community Safety and Advisory Board. That is made up of about 20 different agencies around the community that help put the plan together. It was quite active as it was developed, and a number of the plans underneath that, there's 6 different pillars. One is working on alcohol management in the community. One is on reducing demand on police resources. One's on housing and homelessness, youth-involved crime and harm, community inclusion, systemic inequities and racism, and the built environment and social infrastructure. So a number of those initiatives are currently underway. A few of them are being finished up. And as the mayor said, we are now working with the province to basically do a round 2 to make the next 4 years plan. So that advisory will be reformed to create the new version of the plan and keep the plan moving forward. As part of those plans, and something that the city council has been working on for about a decade, there was a project about 10 years ago or 8 years ago that was called the Main Street North Project. The whole concept, there's a project in Winnipeg called Main Street Project. It's for people who have suffering homelessness, but also addictions issues on the streets. And it was created to set up and provide supports, but also to have detainment for people who are a danger to themselves or to others while they're under the influence of different substances, or if they can't take care of themselves because they're under the influence of different substances. We've been setting something up similar in Thompson up at the Polaris 4 and 5 buildings. Polaris 4 is currently under renovation, about $8 to $12 million renovation underway through a number of grants. And the Polaris 4 building will actually have specialized detention cells for people who are under the influence that are not in the RCMP, where there'll actually be nurses or paramedics there and supports to try to help people with their addictions once they sober up. And so that's another one that came up with. You're going to hear from the RCMP, but another part of the plan was to develop a crime prevention through environmental design program. This is identified in our plan. The RCMP has now trained up officers. They've worked with a few different businesses in the community on how they can improve safety. What this basically is what can you do with your property? What can you do with your business to make it safer, to deter crime? There's a number of steps that have been developed over the last 20, 30 years. And this is something that these officers are now trained on. And I believe there will be some initiatives coming forth. Like I said, some have already done it in Thompson, but initiatives hopefully partnering with the chamber or others to get names of businesses that want to do this, and then the officers can likely help these businesses make their businesses safer. We often get questions about the taxi industry. We have a licensed inspector. We license over 45 cabs in the city of Thompson. People don't necessarily realize that each one of those cabs have secure video and audio recording that can only be accessed by the city or by the RCMP. And it's done almost daily, I would say, just different complaints that come in. You'll see that being reviewed and aiding in the RCMP's investigations. There's safety information in all the taxis. They're inspected regularly by our inspectors. All the drivers have criminal records checks, adult child abuse registry checks. Those are repeated at different time periods. And as always, if you have a safety concern with the taxi itself, contact the city. If the concern is possibly criminal nature, then we recommend you contact the RCMP. They will then work with the city. Another initiative that the City Council has recently undertaken is there's a feeling that some of the bylaws weren't quite as effective as they could be in the community. So we've been working with our legal counsel in Winnipeg on reviewing all the city's bylaws and what options are out there, from simple changes to extreme changes. What our lawyers basically told us is once they reviewed the way the Municipal Act is set up and the Provincial Offences Act, it doesn't actually allow any municipality in the province to make any arrests or ask the RCMP to make an arrest on any violation of a bylaw without a warrant. And then when you go to apply for a warrant, we're told at courts that the violation of a municipal offense is not the grounds for actually issuing a warrant. So it's kind of a catch-22 scenario. This even happened to us last week. We tried to obtain a warrant for an issue, and the courts refused to give the city the warrant to follow the bylaw. So these create a barrier for us to be able to enforce under any of the bylaws of the municipal statute or provincial statutes. And our lawyers noted that Manitoba's laws are actually specifically drafted to prevent the power of detainment or arrest for municipal or bylaw offenses. Our lawyers also pointed out the Charter rights and freedoms, because we talked about can you detain people, can you send people away, any of those things. It was very clear from our lawyers that the Charter rights and freedoms puts constitutional constraints on the ability to detain and or ban individuals from public spaces. And for detention, there actually has to be a provincial or federal offense. The municipal offense doesn't qualify. One of the provincial statutes or provincial laws that is used the most by probably the CSOs, is also used by the RCMP, It's called the Intoxicated Person Detention Act, or IPDA is what we use for short form, IPDA. It's currently used to manage individuals who are intoxicated by alcohol. Like I said, enforced by the CSOs and the RCMP. It allows a maximum hold of 24 hours, and there's actually limitations on this act. It does not actually create a criminal offense, so you don't have a charge. Like, there's no criminal record if you're detained under this act. Once the 24 hours are up or you've sobered up, you're let go. And it does not apply to any type of drug intoxication because of a 1980 Manitoba Court of Appeal decision. So it only applies to alcohol intoxication. Some of you might have noticed in the last month, the province of Manitoba has put a bill forward, I think it's Bill 48, to replace IPDA with a new bill called the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act. This act will now add drugs to one of the substances that cause intoxication and people could be detained for. It allows a 24-hour hold if there's a detention location, so that means if you have RCMP or police cells. It allows a 72-hour hold if there's a protective care center. So a protective care center similar to what I mentioned that we're working with MPO to develop at Manitoba Justice up in Polaris 4. We've seen so far lots of support from medical and law enforcement professionals for these changes, support from mayors, reeves, and municipal councils. We're also seeing opposition from civil society and civil liberty organizations, as well as some social service groups. And there's a note that there's really a lack of these facilities outside the city of Winnipeg. We're also reviewing the Trespass Act. The act requires individuals to be on closed property. This is a Manitoba Act. And they had to have received explicit notice not to enter or remain. It allows for police to arrest and to issue summary convictions, but it requires the cooperation and record keeping between property occupiers and police, and it's very cumbersome and it can be impractical at times. The province of Saskatchewan has adopted new regulations under their Trespass Act at a provincial level that now deems that notice can be given in specific cases of disorder, so there's public intoxication, drug use, property damage, or threats of harm. It allows the police to immediately intervene without requiring the property owner to keep records. So it allows the property or the police to just take that action because of what they're seeing. For us to get some similar powers like that in the province of Manitoba, the municipal council is going to have to lobby the province of Manitoba to change the rules. Otherwise, this will not be possible. Something else that council's been working on for, I'd say, the last 6 years is bail reform. We've been hearing from our RCMP that they'd arrest someone and they'd be released the same day. They'd reoffend, they'd be arrested again, they'd be released the day after. I remember one time one of our sergeants told us they'd arrested someone in 1 month 26 times for a number of different offenses. So the municipalities started to call this the catch and release program because the police were doing their job, but then people were being released back onto the streets to reoffend. So as Mayor Snook said, she was the chair of the city's caucus back at that time. We had a number of discussions with other city leaders on this catch and release program, and they developed a lobby effort on bail reform. That was then taken forward by Mayor Knox when Mayor Snook stepped down as the chair. It's also been picked up by Mayor Foss in Brandon and Mayor Gillingham in Winnipeg. It's also now been advocated for through the Association of Manitoba Municipalities, which is the 137 municipalities in the province. Councillor Kathy Valentino from Thompson is the president of that association. And it's also been picked up now by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, which is the federation of all municipalities in the country. Councillor Valentino is the second vice president of that. Councillor Valentino is actually in Ottawa right now, and I believe yesterday met with the federal minister on bail reform to talk about these issues, as was Mayor Gillingham earlier in the week, or last week. And as many of you have probably seen in the news, the Prime Minister has now issued that they're going to be making some reforms to how bail works in Canada. You're going to hear a bit more about, as the Mayor said, you're going to hear about community safety officers later. Another thing that we've been lobbying for is what we call the institutional safety officers. This was a program that was announced several years ago to provide safety in different types of institutions, whether it be libraries, whether it be hospitals or whatnot. Primarily in hospitals though. The city advocated for those from day one for them to be in Thompson as soon as they moved out of Winnipeg. They moved into a number of southern communities, but we still have not got those in Thompson. That's a program that would be paid for by the province as they'd be securing provincial facilities. Council's also been working on trying to get a restorative justice facility. So basically a detention center in the city of Thompson that would have people closer to their home, but would provide cultural support so that people would be able to hopefully get themselves on a better path. That's been ongoing since 2013. We're continuing told by the province that there's interest, but it's still not been picked up and announced as a project by the province of Manitoba. And then liquor sales. Council works closely with Manitoba Liquor Lotteries Commission. They've always said that they will enforce any bylaw that is legal that is issued by the city of Thompson to do with alcohol. Though the enforcement of alcohol is not actually in the spheres of jurisdiction. So a municipality has certain powers. Those are the only powers they're allowed to exercise. It's under the Municipal Act, under section 232(1). That lays out all the powers of a municipal council. If it's not in that list, the city council is not allowed to do it. So regulation of actual alcohol sales or anything to do with the sale of alcohol, cannabis, and those things is not in the sphere of jurisdiction. Council can regulate the hours of business. So there has been talks on would there be interest in the community to regulate some of the time that is used for sales of alcohol to allow people to sober up or to have less gross intoxication on the streets. But that's something that council would look to the public for their feedback on. And that's the updates that council wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Chief Dennis Benson.
Good evening. I'll just wait for a minute to get the presentation up on the screen there. Get rolling. Perfect. Everybody can see that. So that City of Thompson Fire and Emergency Services, these are the 4 key things that we're going to focus on going forward. That's my vision as the chief, and it's been taken as a council, so we've kind of gone through that process. So we're going to be focusing on fire prevention, public education, code enforcement, and overall community fire safety. Our vision is basically to create a safer, more resilient Thompson by focusing on proactive approach to fire prevention, comprehensive fire community education, effective code enforcement, and obviously strengthening partnership with our stakeholders and other organizations. When it comes to fire prevention, we're going to develop and implement community fire risk reduction strategies, utilize data-driven inspections to identify and mitigate fire risks, promote installation and maintenance of smoke alarms in multi-family units and single-family homes. We're going to build relationships with property owners, landlords, businesses to ensure compliance. We're going to conduct regular recycled fire safety inspections of high-risk facilities, promote fire and safety, deliver fire and safety blitz information, materials and activities, and as well as we're going to have seasonal blitzes in regards to, say, for example, now winter's coming, a lot of people in Thompson burn wood, so we're going to focus on, cleaning your chimney, cleaning your face, oiling your pipes, that sort of thing. Public education, we're going to make an effort to get into schools and stay in the schools. My goal is to have every class in Thompson visit for an hour with the public education curriculum, and that's the goal of the fire safety program. Again, we're going to launch seasonal public awareness campaigns. We're gonna host open houses along with other fire prevention week activities. We're gonna provide targeted education to our seniors and our vulnerable populations. Speaking of seniors, we're gonna talk about trips to falls, cooking with loose clothing, they reach and catch their houseboat or whatever on fire. And we're gonna partner up with local agencies to provide outreach and student engagement to all communities to work with the College of the North and also the Fire Commissioner's Office. When I'm referring to College of the North, it's got that primary care paramedic program in place. And once they start to graduate and become the DTP practicums, so they can come down to the fire hall, and I got primary care paramedics on my staff that can precept these students, so you don't have to decide to do that, as well as the firefighting aspect of it. OFC can send, or we can help them in that aspect of it. Code enforcement, we're going to modernize our inspection program using digital tools, implement risk-based inspection cycles and schedules, follow up on complaints and work in a timely fashion to reduce the fire risks, ensure consistency and transparency in code enforcement, collaborate with building, health, and planning departments to ensure compliance. We're going to provide advanced and ongoing training for our fire prevention inspection staff. When it comes to community safety, we're going to strengthen response capabilities for supporting community initiatives with modern training and equipment, enhance coordination with regional partners, Manitoba Wildfire. I mean, it's important going forward now in 2025, the summer of 2025. I mean, if things are only going to get more, it's going to happen more often, and it's going to be, greater severity. So it's important that we start training these people. We don't know. We've learned so much over the summer with valley protection, setting up that kind of stuff. We've never done that in the past. This summer we did it, and so we got to continue to focus on that aspect of it and move forward. Emergency Measures Organization, Shared Help, Office of Fire Commissioner, and our local Indigenous partnerships with NPO, APC, NCN, and MMF. All those organizations, they're stakeholders, they're part of our community, and we need to involve them and engage with them. Promote shared responsibility for fire safety across the communities and network. The Community Wildfire Plan, planning and mitigation. We must continue to monitor and maintain the fuel management, continue to reduce vegetation near residential areas and critical infrastructure zones, and promote fire smart education and property assessments. And we're going to try and do this through community engagement in neighborhoods, one by one. But the most vulnerable neighborhoods would be in Riverside, Eastwood, on the new trailer court where there's a lot of vegetation there. So we need to maintain that and continue to shrub and thin out areas of the city. Our operational readiness, we need to maintain wildland interface firefighters. Again, that's training with Manitoba Wildfire. Conduct joint training, continue to purchase equipment and protect our city and infrastructure. Over the course of the summer in 2025, the city invested $350,000 in valley protection equipment. We bought a valley protection trailer that has the capability of protecting a neighborhood in up to 100 homes. So I mean, that's a good investment in my mind, and going forward, we need to continue to do that. And again, we need full community integration, continue to include the Community Wildfire Protection Program in our emergency planning, engage community volunteers, organizations, pursue funding for fire smart, and align for future wildfire risks. Also, we continue to work with Shared Health. We continue to deliver services on behalf of Shared Health. We've been without a contract for many years, and we're getting very close to signing a new SPA with Shared Health. We need to continue to advocate for our staff. We need to ensure that their well-being is looked after. This funding is critical to maintain staffing levels, timely responses, and regional general service delivery. And I know there's been a lot of concern with not being able, or people in the city not thinking they're going to call the ambulance and nobody's going to come. If you call 204-6777-911, you will get an ambulance. I just want to ensure that people know that, they're aware of that, and you can set your mind at ease knowing that there is somebody on the other end who's going to respond. Future fire and EMS facility, council recently passed a resolution to explore the construction of new fire and emergency medical services for the city of Thompson. The new facility will meet the operational needs and address safety standards, support training, prevention, and community education initiatives. It will include drive-through bays for fire and ambulance vehicles. It will have decontamination areas, dorms, washrooms, shower areas for both genders, training classrooms, and training labs. It will also include backup power, exhaust capture system, air cascade systems, as well as telecommunication systems to report future 911. The key metrics for success: reduction in fire incidents and injuries, higher number of public education sessions in both schools, seniors housing, and local community venues, higher percentage of at-risk properties inspected annually, higher compliance numbers regarding smoke alarm inspection and installation standards, investing in employee education, training, ensuring staff have the correct skills to skillfully do their jobs, and engaging in community groups, organizations to help us think outside the box. Summary and commitment: the City of Thompson and Thompson Fire Emergency Services is committed and dedicated to helping build a safer and more resilient community through a proactive approach to prevention, education, and enforcement partnerships. The city and the fire department reduce the risk, protect lives, and ensure long-term communities. And that's my presentation. Any questions, you can hit me up after the Q&A.
Thank you, Chief Benson. Now, we'll call for Sonia Wiseman and Diane Hunter of Public Safety.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview of the CSO program. There we go. Okay, we're just going to talk a little bit about the program then, what it was like first when it started. And we're going to highlight what's going on now, the achievements and the current operations. And then we're going to look at what we'd like to see for the future growth of the program. So the CSO program, we're in our 10th year, began in 2015. It was a 2-year pilot program in partnership with the province of Manitoba. When it started, we had 8 CSO officers. We provided 18-hour coverage 7 days a week, and it was a cost share program for the city of Thompson and the province, and it was roughly around $600,000. The focus of the program was public safety and community visibility. Currently, so now we have 4 CSO officers providing 10-hour coverage 4 days per week. One position is currently vacant, or we have that filled soon. It is fully funded by the City of Thompson, and we do have support with a grant from the Manitoba Liquors and Lotteries. The annual cost for the program is $409,000, and the focus still remains public safety and community visibility. So recent updates to the program, we currently purchased 2 SUV patrol vehicles for the CSOs. We've upgraded their vest, they're a lighter weight vest, and we have ballistic, level 3 ballistic protection. And we also have body cameras with audio, and that is going to be rolled out in the coming weeks. So the CSO authorities are granted through the Police Services Act, Part 7.1. Municipalities can determine which authorities the CSOs can or will enforce. A full list of the powers and authorities, you can visit the Province of Manitoba Justice site. I won't list them. We didn't list them all on here, but you can see them online. So current program, the focus, under the IPVA, CSOs can arrest when individuals cannot take care of themselves, are incapable to control their behavior, are or like will become violent. The main focus is to find a safe place for the intoxicated individual to stay. So the first thing that we try to do is to bring them home. So if there's a place that they have that they can stay in town, we do try to bring them there first. If they can't stay there, we take them to the Well Variety Center. And if they can't stay at the Well Variety Center, the RCMP is the last location that we like to take them. The CSOs can also dispose of open liquor. They can assist in decreasing the number of intoxicated individuals. All the stats that we currently take are located on the City of Thompson's website. So during each shift, the CSOs do take stats, and they are presented to council on a monthly basis. If you would like to take a ride along with the CSO to see what they encounter, the individuals that they encounter on a daily shift, please contact us. We do encourage people, if you want to go out, you can go for a ride along with the CSO. You can go on their entire shift, or if you just want to go for a few hours. So the future vision, we would like to expand the program back to 8 or 12 CSO officers, and that will provide us the opportunity to focus on integrating the additional powers that are available to the CSOs. It would provide us up to 18-hour coverage, 7 days a week, and we would continue partnerships with the province, the Indigenous and local organizations. The program's main focus from the beginning to the last 10 years and will continue to be focused on public safety and community visibility. The compassion, professionalism, the dedication of our community and its members is paramount in our community safety officer team. So when to call for CSOs versus, or RCMP versus the CSOs. So you would call the RCMP for serious criminal offenses, emergency situations, or if there's weapons involved. For the CSOs, you call them for non-emergency situations, community safety issues, intoxicated persons. Our dispatch line is through Thompson Fire and Emergency Services. So the number 677-7916 is the number that you can contact the CSOs. So in conclusion, the CSO program continues to evolve and maintaining its core mission to promote safety, support our community, and build trust between residents and the enforcement services.
Thank you, Sonia. Now we're going to call on Staff Sergeant Dave Michaud.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Dave Michaud, I'm the acting detachment commander. Like I was introduced earlier, I've been doing this for about 2 years. And I brought with me the other NCOs of the detachment here. So Joe Vandel's our operations NCO, and then Dave Higgs here is our operations support NCO. So I got a slideshow here to present. I'm a bit of a winger. I don't really write the thing down, so if I'm a little all over the place, I apologize, but it's just how my brain works. Just some stats for Thompson. As of today, I received a report that we're at about 18,000 calls for service, just over 18,000 calls for service. And the next closest detachment within the North District, so that's Grand Rapids North, is about 66 or 6,700 calls for service. So we're winning. We're winning by a lot. But that just goes to show how much work the officers here do and how much we're getting called away. And we're trying to be as proactive as we can with these calls for service because our primary goal is public safety. And we're there to protect and preserve life, protect the public. So those are our first primary jobs, and when we're able to do that safely, if you just back it up there. Back up. Perfect. So when we make sure the public is safe, then we can move on to our proactive initiatives that we like to do. We can call upon some other units. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But just to go over a few wins here, or I guess part of our public safety strategy here. Next slide, please. We have an offender management program. We have our general investigation section that is looking after that for us. They look at prolific offenders who are currently on conditions, and they have a package for the general membership here where we can go and check somebody who's on conditions, if they're on absolute curfew or various curfews, or GIS officers. We're looking into that, and they also provide the package to our frontline officers who can also do these checks for the prolific offenders and or look for people who are on warrant status. So our GIS is also doing that. Other proactive initiatives are traffic stops. We've had roving traffic up here, so that's the Southern Interdiction team that comes up and assists. And then it's just our own members who've got a good nose for working traffic stops here. We've had some pretty good results as of this year. And then of course there's drug warrants that we've initiated here, and we've been pretty successful in the last couple of years with our GIS section, spearheading that, but they're a big part of this proactive initiative, but they also need the team of officers that are the frontline members that assist them in gaining those investigation stuff so they can get to that drug warrants. Next slide, please. So these are just a couple of wins here within the past couple of months. So this is a search warrant that was executed a few months ago where we located a sawed-off shotgun, 43 grams of cocaine and currency. And then this is a proactive traffic stop a few months ago where we located a loaded handgun, a small amount of cocaine. Another proactive traffic stop where we located a decent amount of cash there and a small amount of cocaine. And then another proactive traffic stop here where we had a loaded handgun and 250 grams of cocaine. Okay. A lot of these ones here, there's no one, over a gram, or a kilogram here of cocaine that was seized. I believe this one was in May. All these photos here from previous media releases, so if you want to go up on them, they were posted to the CBC and our media relations. The prohibit firearms and proceeds of crimes also. So needless to say, we have a lot of work to do here, right? Because we do have a high crime severity index, and well, maybe we won't say that anymore, Anthony, but we have a high propensity of violence here. So, like I said, the officers are doing what they can and making sure that we can execute these proactive initiatives. Some of the available units that we've used over the past couple of years since I've been in the chair, the North District Crime Reduction Enforcement Support Team, they're stationed right here in Thompson. They have 4 members. 5 members? 4 members working. They're right here in Thompson, and it's basically another general investigation section unit, so very similar to our municipal GIS unit. So they do the same amount of work, but they are also tasked with the other detachments within the North District, but when we need them, we often rely on them for sharing resources here. So that's a big help. The emergency response team, we've called them, unfortunately, a few more times than I would like, but those are the guys that come up with the green pajamas. They look like G.I. Joes. You see them around with all the cool equipment. Those are the guys that are doing our high-risk takedowns and looking for high-risk offenders. They're very, very talented bunch of members, and they're up here pretty quickly. A lot of times when we need them, they come from Winnipeg to get on the police plane, and they're up here within an hour. So we have used them quite a few times, and they do come up and assist with some training and stuff like that. Very successful last year when we had the Manitoba Integrated Violent Offender Apprehension Unit. That team from Winnipeg comes up and they're only looking for a prolific offender on warrant status, so they were up here on 2 deployments with other additional units to look up some offenders that are on warrant status. And they were pretty successful. The divisional road traffic unit has been up here many times. That's the interdiction team. There's one member that comes up here and they got a drug interdiction dog. So they work with that dog when they're up here. And they've been pretty successful. Last time they were up here, they were south of Thompson, maybe 20 minutes, and pulled somebody over and they had a little handgun seizure right there. Just like they And then Manitoba Integrated Law Enforcement Team. We haven't used them as much. I would like to see them up here a little bit more, but they are facing some resource constraints for their northern team because they're split up in north, south, east, west. So they're still looking to staff the ones that look after us, but the team as a whole, we do ask for assistance. Other public safety initiatives here, like Anthony had said, the crime prevention through environmental design. We have a trained officer here, Rob Cleveland, many of you probably know Rob. But he's been trained in one phase there, and there's another couple members down in Winnipeg in the community Indigenous Policing Services. I don't know if we change that acronym. This case, we can come here in a minute, but they're also trained there. They can come up. And they have come up to do a presentation for City Hall here last October or November, I want to say. And they were up here this summer for the Métis Federation. They did a little scan of their buildings here, as well as the Water Ski Club area, I believe. So if there's businesses in the room here, like I was talking to Anthony, we can go through the chamber and maybe do set up presentations for the businesses here to also get that scan or tips and tricks on how to make your business safer. Anthony mentioned it here on his slide here about the city's applied assessment for crime suppression unit of 4 members. So we haven't staffed that as of yet because there's some resourcing issues there, but it is something that we're going to look into staffing here in the near future once the frontline officers are up to snuff and we have enough members. Where we can move them over to the proactive side of things rather than the reactive side of things. Because, like I said, your guys' safety is our priority, so we need the members to be able to respond to those calls. And then just this one. Thanks, Mike. We applied for an application under the civil forfeiture here. We were successful. So basically, the civil forfeiture takes all the seized monies and assets throughout the year, goes through the Canadian Association, Manitoba Association of Chiefs of Police. They take all that money, we've applied for that seized money, and this year we won $25,000 to go towards cameras for the city. And those cameras are going to be operated by the city, not by the police, but we'd like to put them in high crime areas or public areas as a deterrent and or to capture any type of crime where there's no cameras for us. So we're having a meeting here next week with WAD to go over the placement of a couple of those cameras. I don't know how many we'll be able to get for you folks, but it's definitely better than none. And then once we get that going, we can always reapply yearly for more funds for more cameras if needed or other equipment that's needed. Yep. So a couple additional initiatives here, and Joe might be able to talk about more of their initiatives that were from Alberta before, and our division is starting to look at them here now. The Rake Alert system is kind of like that system that we currently have for natural disasters and fires and stuff like that, but it's going to be for the public. Like, hey, stay away from this area, or hey, the police will put something out. Hey, there's a stolen vehicle. It's a red Dodge Charger, and it was last seen on Thompson Drive South. If you see it, call the police, kind of thing. So that's one initiative that the division is looking at, gathering interest in getting that service up here. And then the other one is a capture program. I put residences on there, but I think I was corrected. It's only businesses that can apply for this, but they have this in Winnipeg, I believe. But it's essentially a program where a business, if they have cameras available to them, they can register to this application. And if there's a crime that's committed, we can look it up. Oh, McDonald's has 5 cameras in this vicinity. We can look at McDonald's. Hey, can you give us this video? They can just share it over that application. So the businesses would just have to register to that. I thought there was a residential clause for that, but I stand corrected. I can still look that up and confirm with you guys at a later date, but those are some divisional crime reduction type initiatives that
2 minutes or less and geared towards public safety. And I'm going to turn it over to the Chair of Safety, Oswald Saul.
Thank you, and, yeah, you've heard from us for the last 50 minutes or so, so it's time to hear from you guys. I do want to thank all the presenters. Hopefully, some of your questions were answered by some of the information that was provided. We are going to go into the Q&A, but I just want to remind everyone that this is not the only time that you can engage us, as mentioned, with Councilor Chuchong and Councilor Dorfer, who's also part of the Safety Committee. We do meet on a monthly basis starting in November, the third week at 3 p.m., and that's open to the public. We also have some sheets in the back if you wish to write down your questions instead of coming up and asking them, and we will ensure that those are addressed as well. And of course, we will be doing some outreach after as well through some polling, so keep an eye out for that. So as mentioned, we are going to be asking people to give their names when they come up to ask a question, which you can ask your question or make your comment within 2 minutes. And then if you can also, if possible, if you know which person you want to direct your question to. If you don't, then we can either have a person volunteer from our panel here, or I can direct that as well. And they will also have 2 minutes to answer as well. So in saying that, we have 8 o'clock. So yeah, we will, we're up to some base, so hopefully we want to maximize your time, so that's why we have this structure. So in saying that, this guide will help us with the Q&A in regards to identifying who is the first to ask and then to keep track that way. So I have one hand I see right here from Shelley. So Shelley.
Hi. Oh. That's all right. Hi, my name is Shelley, if you didn't get me here, Oswald. My first question is to Sonia. It's more kind of a statement or at the same time is you're talking about the CSO drivers and stuff like that. The first is the statement of kind of that these guys are driving around together. You have two vehicles now, but they're driving around together. So I don't see the point in how that's helping any safety-wise because they only stop together, they only drive around together. They're not one on one side of the building, one or the other. They're always together. Is this going to change anytime soon, or are they supposed to be doing this? Like, I'm not gathering why we have this if they are just driving together.
I can answer. So you're probably talking in the recent weeks. This is happening because, as mentioned, we have funding for 4. We're currently down to 3. Under city policy, CSOs have to work in pairs. So there'll always be 2 in the vehicle if they're out on the street. Therefore, we have 1 vehicle that only has 1 member. And it's kind of a dangerous situation for him to be alone somewhere since he's now alone. And therefore, in the last couple of weeks, because we only have 3 members, you will see them driving together. That is going to change once we have 4 and they can work in pairs again. Then we split up and can patrol different areas.
Okay. Sorry, I have 3 questions. I'm trying to get through them as quick as, just this one is still towards Sonia and then. You said that they're going to be wearing body cams. Are these body cams going to be on 24/7 or they control when they turn them on and off?
We're working on the policy right now, so I'll let Danny work on this.
Yeah, we're currently working on the policy. They're not going to be on 24/7. Obviously, there's privacy situations as well where they can't be on. The policy is not finished yet. That's something we're working on, but just I guess as far as I know right now, it's going to be turned on when they leave the vehicle, engage individuals in situations like that. But yeah, it's not going to be on 24/7.
So they'll still have the opportunity to say they forgot to turn them on when they approach people? Basically, yes, that's all right. And the other part of the statement, just as I'm handing this back over, is saying that as a business owner, I will be phoning that number that you gave. When there's an intoxicated person in my store, I will still be phoning the RCMP because that is their duty before CSO office. Just my opinion.
Okay, thanks, Shelley. And the next question?
Ellen Dale, we had a smoky summer. Okay, when we did have a chance to go outside, I suffered badly from migraines. I could be outside for about maybe 15 minutes, depending on how the wind was blowing. Or is it not on? I have a teacher's voice, you could probably all hear it. Has anybody come up with anything that we can do to shut that music off at Walmart? The people who control that live in Vancouver. They don't live here. We do. It's our time. Why can't we shut that ridiculous music off? It's not controlling the people. It's supposed to be controlling anyway.
So I will pass them on to Esty if he wants to just address the process we go through right now.
Yeah, so council's gonna review its noise bylaw to see how it can enforce that more strictly. I know there's been discussions between council and the city center Mountain leadership, trying to work together on some sort of result, but
It's
that's
a
one of
health
the
issue.
things that they'd like to have reviewed.
Okay, first we'll
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ethel. I'm the chamber president. I would like to commend you all to your presentations, well presented. However, my observations are, do we have a key matrix on the success of all your presentation? First and foremost, I commend the fire chief for having the purpose of its presentation where he said there are key matrix. We hope as residents here, if you want to be serious about the safety, you have to put something to measure the success of your presentation. And I would like to go back to the community safety and wellness. Did we already measure the success of this plan? And have we implemented it? And have we modified something that is not going right to that plan? That's my question. And another question is, thank you for identifying that you have seen some bylaws that are not being implemented and are quite weak. But we also want, as the residents of Thompson, would like to know their timeline on how are you going to pass it and how you're going to make it stronger. Because we should be, residents of Thompson, be aware and be serious about the safety. We have been dealing with this for several years now, but we want our leaders to be serious about this by giving us key matrix system on the measurability of your plans. And I think moving forward, we would know if we are successful to our plans in this safety issue or not, if you will have a key matrix system.
Thank you. So, we'll summarize the question by how do we measure our success or our failure or what we need to work on? Anthony,
So there's actually an evaluation matrix that was developed as part of the plan. Like I said, that's the next step that has to be done as this is reformed with the province and the committee, so that does exist. And once that is gone through, it can be reported on. And the second question, you can summarize.
Your timeline on those bylaws that you feel that are weak and we need to strengthen them up just to aid the safety.
Well, that would all go with how council's business proceeds. So the Municipal Act gives us guidelines on how municipal bylaws are passed. But it's really how council wants to work through the different issues, what they want to prioritize, and then working with legal counsel to get those through. So I couldn't give you a timeline. That is however council's business proceeds on that.
I think the council has a responsibility to give us the timeline on how they will strengthen these bylaws, because we should not be just waiting on their schedule. We should be the one who is dictating the schedule for this.
Okay.
And also to follow up, for the safety officers, do we have numbers on those safety officers since they started 2015? And how can we also measure their success since 2015 that they have started?
So the CSO's data is presented every single month at a council meeting, and all the data is available on the city's website. And there's a number of metrics that are there, and whenever council wants a new metric or the public asks for one, those metrics are added or modified.
Yeah, thank you. And I think those reports will go back to 2010. That's on our website. All those reports are there. So.
The online reporting, I believe, all net started around 2014. If anything before that would probably be a paper copy of minutes.
Okay, thank you. Before we go to the next person, and I know we have lots of questions, let's try and not group it more than 3 or 4, because as you can see, we start to forget what the first question was. So just a nice reminder, and I'll just mention that as well, and I'll advise people that anything that you feel that you need to follow up, once again, that's what that safety committee is about, and we will make sure we reach out to people as well that have outstanding queries. So let's go to the next person.
My name is Wendy Jeffrey. I just wanted to ask, my concern about being a citizen here is with the RCMP moving their, like if I want to phone the RCMP, I have to go, I get sent to Winnipeg, and that is very stressful. If you're in a dangerous situation, or you can't think, a lot of times I'll ask them, well, you know, where are you? Or sometimes you're in a position you may not know exactly where you are, but someone in Thompson who works here as an RCMP officer would know the community quicker. That's always been a concern that I had. And I do have a little bit recommendation about, you had 2 numbers that when to call the RCMP and when to call the safety community, but if I was thinking, if you had a magnet had the two numbers and then underneath when you would call, I think that'd be really helpful if it went to every community person. So anyway, just a suggestion.
Sergeant, you want to start with the dispatch process?
Yeah, for the dispatch process, the reason why it goes to our Winnipeg Operation Communication Center is because when they're doing that, thank you, when they're doing that, probably need this actually pass. There's a whole process behind that. We don't have provincial authority here, and we don't have dispatchers within the detachment. So for us to have all your information captured, it needs to go to a properly trained person who is the call taker. And just because you're sent to Winnipeg, you're talking to a call taker, but they're also able to dispatch that information to you right now. So, for example, if there was a call for service, a car accident at the museum, you'd be able to call, say, hey, there's a car accident at the museum. The call taker can flip that information to the dispatcher immediately, dispatch members, and while members are en route, they can get other information, like if it's a semi versus a van, one person pin, or impaired driver, or so on and so forth. And the other reason why that is done through Winnipeg is every time the call taker takes a phone call, they generate a file. So then that record, there's a file on record, so it gets dispatched to the member, and it's on the member code, and do the follow-up investigation. previously, and I'm not saying this is Thompson, but there are instances where something has gone directly to a member, and they may have not responded immediately, or they may not have gotten the complete severity of what the call for service is, and it's not prioritized accordingly. So it goes to Winnipeg, it goes to the call taker, there's supervisors within the OCC or dispatcher, and they're able to prioritize, like if something's happening right now, they're not gonna wait for all your information, like name, date of birth, they're gonna ask you what's happening, okay, and they can immediately dispatch the members and get your information after, like if there's something in progress. But that's the general
They still get that
consensus.
wrong.
Sorry?
I said they still get that majorly wrong as well. Like I had a lady on the step of my business that had a cut on her hand, and I told the dispatch that you don't have to send somebody, sorry, it was through ambulance, not through RCMP. They said that, yeah.
Sorry, Dennis.
Sorry,
You won't get it on that one.
I'm just going to go to Mayor Scoop, who wants to also expand on that as well.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, that was put on our plate, our first term when I was still councillor. It was a decision that wasn't made by us. We weren't very happy with it. And again, it's something that was a new program, went to change. So definitely I myself have used it and got Winnipeg, and by the time they ask you what you ate for breakfast and you've given them all the information, luckily our dispatch here has heard the call somewhere and are on their way already. Sometimes I'm on the phone and they're telling me that, we'll be dispatching somebody right away, and the members are already standing beside me and that. So that's the one thing about being in the north, our bunch, responds, ambulance or CMP. But no, I agree that it's very frustrating. We brought it up to Minister of Justice and that over the last 3 different governments, and it's still in place. And just a reminder, so if we do get something like a 911 service, that will actually work the same way, so that calls will go to a central location and then be dispatched. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. And just to follow up on that second question we asked about having some sort of information for the RCMP and the CSOs who support. Son, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, that's definitely something we can look at doing. Yeah. We can definitely look at doing something like that. We do have pamphlets and different things that we hand in as well, and we can probably do something with the monthly or annual letters that we send them to.
If you had a magnet though, it could be on a person's fridge, and then if it was a severe, something that needs attention right away, you know it's right there, the number, instead of running around looking for a pamphlet.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We actually had magnets a few years ago. I'll give you the one off my fridge because I think it has the numbers there. So maybe in look at his office, you can find a few more. Thank you.
So who is next? Next question.
My question is for the kind of between the RCMP and for Sonia again. If there is signs up saying that if you have signs up saying no loitering outside your business and stuff like that, isn't it by law that the RCMP or the other guys to have to move them along, not that they just let them sit there because they don't feel that they're drinking? Is that not what those signs are for, is that you have to move these people along?
Well, it all depends on the severity of what's going on. So if they're there, they're not causing any problems, or not drinking or committing a criminal offense, then it would be the officer's discretion at the time on what they're going to do. So if I can't just say if there's a no sign, no loitering sign here, all members will move everybody from out of there, because then we still have members of the public that are just maybe standing around the library or whatever, right? So we have to take that into account as well. But if they're intoxicated or they're causing problems, then the officers certainly do move them along.
And just, again, that was a major question that I've had for a while. And I'll again use the example of my business is that they sit out on the side of it by the city center mall. And I know that the officers can't say, are you drinking, and let's see what's sitting beside you. But in the meantime, they're banging on my building and everything else and causing disturbances, just not when you guys are there. But yet, they don't move them along. And I'm not talking about this summer. This summer, everybody was I never moved anybody this summer because everybody was so out of sorts all summer long. I'm talking about in general, like, the mayor knows as well as I asked the city, we went at it for 2 months trying to get all the wood that they were sitting on outside my business moved. And that's a different story, but I'm just saying, like, it's, to have signs up, I always grew up understanding that that's what those signs were meant, was that you can't stand around and do nothing outside. Those signs are meant that you move along from there. I don't see that happening in Thompson right now, and I'm just trying to know if that's a real law and that's what's supposed to be happening, or if, again, I guess as you said, it's to your discretion, but as a person that owns a business here and having the people that do sit outside my business at all hours, it is very hard when you guys drive by and just say, hey, how's it going? And they're having a party outside my building.
I understand that, but we're enforcing criminal code and other provincial acts, and we can also enforce bylaws. But if they're obstructing the enjoyment of property, or they're causing a disturbance by screaming and hollering, then certainly we can move them along. But we have to have that evidence when we're dealing with that, because those are summary conviction offenses. So we have to find them committing or take a statement, right? So if that's continuing to happen, we can have more patrols to the city center mall and move people along. But be mindful that we're also dealing with other calls for service where
That's
where
why
we're
it was
dealing
to
with
both
like,
of you guys, not just to you guys, because everybody drives around. That's
Yeah.
why I said it to both of you guys, like.
So we're gonna just move on, to, Ethel and then to Caroline. Ethel?
Yes, my next question is, I would like to ask the councilors, the mayor, and all the person on this table, how satisfied are you in the safetyness of Thompson?
Can we start from the councilor?
I can start. Councilman Driver, I can say I'm not, I find that Thompson is not safe. I have an autistic daughter that always is my tail. And it's where I deal with people daily. And if it's going to Walmart, if it's dealing with people, get them out of my way because I'm bringing my daughter with me, I'm holding her hand. I need to keep her safe. And it's where, like, I'm at Walmart, I'm not registered to watch that, I work all day too, but you know, it's where in the evening, you see the cabs sitting there, they're always in front, and it's just in the way of that. And it's where I'm constantly there telling them to move, because there's people need to be walking. And then there's people standing out there drinking and that, and then I'm talking there to them. I speak Cree, I know these people speak Cree, and I can say that it is better to speak in your own language to your own people. You can be mean, but it sounds nicer. You know what I mean? Like, I can say something, but like, you know, I'm trying to be angry and that, but it's, in speaking in my language, it comes out different. And they understand it. And it's where I go daily and that, like I say, my daughter's my tail, and evenings and that, during the weekends. And it's where I'm constantly there telling people, move. You know, you're not, why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you drinking here? Why are you drinking Lysol? You know, and stuff like that. Why? It's killing you. And it's where daily it's asked. And I do it daily. And it's where, in the store, anywhere, McDonald's, wherever. I'm driving, you see people, a bunch of people there. I stop and I go ask them, what are you doing here? Why are you here? How come you're not going home? Go to your own reserve, you know, go home, you need
help, what kind of help do you need? And the other thing too is, I bake, I cook a lot, and I go feed the people. I get backlash from other people, Thompson people and that, that's fine. But it's where we say the homeless people, they're not homeless. The majority of them are not because they're drinking. And then I've been here 22 years in Thompson, and I see people that I know that are homeless, and those are the ones that I targeted to feed and to look after. I lost 3 homeless people, friends, as my own, where I'm buying them boots and everything, look after them all winter. But it's where I say with the Thompson people that they need to do their part too. People with businesses and that, I'm not too sure if it's gonna be as safe and that, but that was my thing all the time. Go out your door. Why are you standing here? You know, move. Go somewhere else. That's your property, your business property. That's one thing that I would say that needs to be done. We all have to work together as one. Businesses need to start protecting their front doors and not have these people here. And if it's calling the RCMP, if it's you getting extra security and stuff like that, then do it. You know, it's not going to work where we say we complain. We have a lot of Facebook warriors over there, keyboard warriors, and it's where nothing's being done. You protect your own stuff. I protect my stuff. I protect my family. I protect my girls. And like I say, even with my truck, I have people standing around there. I'm going, move. This is not yours. This is mine. I pay for this. I worked hard for this. And that's what Thompson needs to do. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyway, that's why we are here today. Am I going to be happy about it? Absolutely not. But can we do something about it? I believe so. That's why we provide the council tonight, just to hear from you guys. And I don't want to take up so much of time to talk about the feeling and all that. And I hear everything. I've been on this quite some time now. I think sometimes we got to categorize the safety and the disturbance. What does the safety mean to us? Is it because of crime or because of I walk around, I don't feel safe, someone will stab me in the back? Those kind of things we have to identify. So to me, when I go to the Walmart, do I feel unsafe? Not necessarily. I know they all just like to hang around, have a big party. It's all individual feeling. I don't feel that part, but I'm not saying all of us, all of you guys feel the same way. I have no problem going to the Walmart shopping, I'll be honest. But not because my feeling compared to the rest of you. So what can we do? That's what we are trying to figure out right now. I think the RCMP is doing a very good job when it comes to crime. You can see all the statistics that we busted a lot of cocaine, guns, and all that. We have to give them a big credit of that. But other than that, I think we still have a lot of work. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for everybody show up today and listen to the presentation. And I'm very appreciative people asking questions about the safety of this town. Do I feel that this town is very, like, compared to other cities? I would say in certain aspects, like lots of things we don't like to see in downtown, like because like it affect your safety well-being, because when you see something down there is unpleasant. So is it deal with safety? Yes, we do, because when drug and alcohol involved, people's mind, they cannot control their mind. Anything can happen. Fight can happen, or stabbing each other, or whatever may happen, right? So that's the thing we worry about, because you can be in the wrong place, the wrong time, right? Things happen to you. So we don't want that to happen. That's why, as a community, we should work together we should protect each other, like we protect the children, we protect every one of us, so that nothing will happen. So we also depend on the law enforcement. So our RCMP will take care of any the violent act, the criminal act that happens. So we report to them so they can act on that right away. So that to eliminate further like things happen. So how do I feel about this part? Like over the years, I would say over 50 years ago, this town was like not as much people come to this park because right now look at a big influx of people come to this town here, and then you know that either they are no harm to our community, or maybe something because of drugs and alcohol that cause some disturbances. So in other words, we should put together as our mission as a council. Our first mission is public safety. So all of us are very concerned about public safety because we are first our family, like every one of us. So I would like to see every one of us continue to support us and learn to do something for this community. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess just to kind of echo what some of my fellow councilors have said, I mean, we are here this evening because we aren't satisfied with public safety. We all live in this community with you. We shop in this community. I have a 5-year-old daughter and a 2-month-old son, or 10-month-old son. So I go shopping pretty frequently, probably every 2 to 3 days. And I explore many areas of the community and in various parks and recreation spaces. So I'm out and about quite often. And so public safety is important to me, and we wouldn't be here today if we were 100% satisfied with it. We're not blind to the issues. We do live here, like I said, so we understand that there are public safety issues that we need to deal with. And that's why we're here today talking to you and asking you for your input in relation to those issues. It's also why we have started this public safety committee, because those issues are important to us and we do want to address them. And so we're hoping that through that committee that we can have a stronger focus on public safety and that we can address some of the concerns. As it was mentioned earlier this evening, this is a national crisis. There is public safety issues in many communities across Manitoba and across the country. So I don't think that we can solve the problems on our own as a council. We do need the community's input and we need your support. And you know, we do various lobbying efforts to the federal and provincial government in relation to the public safety issues that we face within our community. But it still helps to hear your opinions on those lobbying efforts and whether you think that we're lobbying for the right things, whether you think that those things are going to make a difference, what we're lobbying for, or if you think there's other things that we should be lobbying for, right? So really looking forward to hearing more of your questions and comments, and definitely would say, no, we're not satisfied with the public safety of our community. So thank you for your question.
Thank you. And before going on to Mayor Smook, I'll also answer, and I echo the comment on the satisfied. Really, that's why after being out of politics for 14 years, aside from that last year, I definitely have seen, in my opinion at least, a certain level of deterioration. That's why I was more than willing to chair the Public Safety Committee when it was formed. So I'm not satisfied, and I shared many of the opinions that was said by my colleagues. So in saying that, I'll go on to Mayor Smook.
The original question was, do we feel safe in Thompson? I actually do. I've lived here for 54 years. I guess my issue is that I know a lot of the people downtown. I know when they used to work for a construction company and they basically, you know, weren't just hanging around downtown. Also another thing, initiative, and it was about the time we became council, we decided to get rid of some of the encampments out of town. There was one across from us at McCready Campground. There was a couple big ones by the train station and some by the head frame. And that's where people hung out. So the city in all its wisdom, we cleaned up all these encampments. So we have actually pushed the people downtown to have a place to hang out because they're, my first house was on 80 Lynn's Crescent. And we basically had a group of 12 to 14 just beyond our fence that, you know, you had to make sure the kids weren't getting their sex education on the other side of the fence as they walked to Deerwood School. So this isn't a new problem, but it's a different problem and it's evolved over the years. And no, we're not happy with how it goes, and that's why we work with the different ministers of justice, with the province and that. And that's where we need you folks on our, you know, to lobby with us to get changes and make. Because when we go to the minister, well, nobody complains about you. Well, no, I'm complaining for 13,000 people. And like I said, I do feel safe. I do walk into Walmart. And again, like Joyce, I'm not scared to give a person trouble if they are, or phone the RCMP. And they all know that. But again, we're not happy with the situation. And that's why we have all of these here to see how. Because there should be the same rules for whether, you know, it's us at the post office. We used to have the drinking at the post office. But we also have to have our businesses working. We have to have a business that people are hanging out, not selling them intoxicants, you know, hairspray or whatever. And we also have to take away the dollars from the shopping carts, so they're not going to be panhandling for everybody that goes there. And then I told them one time, they made these neat little toilets. They call them shopping cart holders, but that's where people go to the bathroom in them. And so they've, you know, increased the people downtown. Now it's up to us, and we have had meetings once with Walmart, and after we finished, they said, well, we didn't think that's how it was going to go, and really, they haven't come back to us, or we haven't been able to get another meeting. That'll be part of this committee that will address a lot of these issues and try and make it better for Thompson. Sorry, I was over.
No, thank you. Before I go to Caroline, did you want to comment? Okay, good. So, Caroline?
Hello. Actually, I'm a little surprised, like, at how much has been done. I'm guessing because I don't know where to find to see what's been done because of the lack of communication that we've got in town now with, you know, basically no newspaper except for yours, Ozzy. And, you know, I guess this is the CHTM, but all the information within the presentation was excellent, I thought. Like, you can see that you're working on things. I think one of the biggest issues is the lack of workers, or trying to get workers up here. I think we're a sheriff or two short. I'm not sure about the RCMP now, but of course the community safety officers, I guess, the short one there. I'm trying to figure out, like, why are we having such a problem getting these professionals to come here and work? Well, then I started looking at wages, and I was a little surprised when I was looking on the city site at the rate that we pay some of, and I'm not sure, I could be wrong, but I think the average rate was around $29 an hour, if I'm not mistaken. So I did a little bit of math, and when you do that, it comes out to about a little over $60,000 a year gross, and then it would come to about $3,300 a month net income. That's not very much money. However, I know, you know, minimum wage has gone up and everything, and it might sound like a lot now. However, if you're on income and assistance with 2 kids, you're going to clear more than that. So maybe we should look at wages to attract people. It might be one avenue to think about, because we do need more people, like more workers to get to help out up here. And that's basically it. Other than that, I'm pleased with everything else. I'm surprised. Thanks.
Thank you. Did either Sonia or Staff Sergeant want to comment on wages in regards to challenges with recruitment or Anthony?
Yeah, so we're seeing recruitment challenges, like you said, in most areas of the city, especially in public safety areas. It was noted during the summer, we did have visitors from other communities that came up as safety officers to try to work with us. I think some of the people were surprised our wages were a bit higher up here in the safety program. But that's something that council is looking at. Council has me putting out a proposal to get a company to come and do a wage review, actually. So kind of benchmark our wages against other wages in the province, as well as in Western Canada. And as Chief Benson said, we're in the middle of negotiations on the fire and ambulance service with the province of Manitoba, and we're trying to get enhanced funding from the province to aid on the ambulance and fire side of those wages. So that's a work in progress as well that we've identified internally, but also remembering that all the expenditures of the city come back to taxes if we can't get grants, right? So there's a balancing act that we have to do on behalf of the citizens on where our wages go.
Yeah. Next.
I have two questions. First one is, do we have a bylaw against panhandling?
I believe panhandling is outlined in the behavior bylaw. That's one of the bylaws that we had our legal counsel have a look at, and there was issues about enforceability on that. So that's something that council's going to have to review on how that would work based on what I presented earlier.
Because there's a lot of panhandling increasing in Thompson that I noticed. And sometimes you feel awkward on going to different businesses because you know you're going to be asked for money. You don't know what's going to happen if you don't have money. There's once an incident that I went to McDonald's and there was a guy around the corner standing there waiting for money, which we could have hit him. I'm just wondering if there's, you guys can have a meeting on, talk about panhandling, which would help some of the issues. My second thing is, I hand out food all the time. So 7 years ago, maybe 100 people. This summer I went and handed out food. I ran out of food at 350 people. There's a lot of people that are hungry. I went to Walmart parking lot to tell people like, hey, you guys come grab a sandwich. I was kicked off of Walmart parking lot. Why can't we do that to the people in the Walmart parking lot then if they have an issue with me serving food there? Why did I get kicked off? And yet we allow people to be drunk and intoxicated, fighting, swearing, cursing when I bring my grandchildren in there. When I bring people from out of town, you know how embarrassing that is? We have to do something. If I can get kicked off for serving people food there, why are they allowed to be on that property?
Does anyone want to comment on that? All right.
No.
Okay, back to that.
I'm gonna go to Molly, and then I think Molly has who's that? Okay. Molly, yeah.
Good evening, my name is Jason Cook, resident of Thompson. I have an issue in regards to the public safety for children on crossing the Station Road area. Like I know that the contractors that fix up the streets did put in two crosswalks right across from the Walmart area and by the liquor store, where the high volume of traffic of well, I don't want to give them a name, but the people that are homeless. So if the city can put crossing by the right across from the daycare center on Station Road and to the school, because you'll see high volume of kids crossing the road, and it's not safe for them to cross because we do have some courtesy drivers on the road, but you know, if you have a light there where it controls the traffic, then the kids can cross. That would be very helpful. And then the other thing too is we have elderly care people that are in there with wheelchairs, and they go down the road, and you know, like it's not safe for them because that's the only means of transportation to get to town. You know, at least if you had some kind of a system, Because I think there was a handy van system at one time in the city of Thompson, that would cater to people that didn't have access to vehicles. So I'm just thinking about the people that are on wheelchairs and are confined to, let's look at that, and also the safety too. You have MKO, have a center in a corner for the people that are homeless. What programming is being provided for them? If you're trying to help a person to stop drinking, you don't give them a place to stay and food, because they don't want to go home.
So what I'll do, I just want to get Anthony to answer that first question. That I want that's for a broader discussion. So let us first talk about the crosswalk.
Crosswalk on Brandon.
So the crosswalks that are on Mystery Lake Road themselves, that is actually, people don't realize that road is not city property actually. The highway through the city of Thompson is actually controlled by highways. There were some discussions with the province in previous years about the implications once the liquor store and a few other businesses were built there, some of the traffic patterns changed. So highways engineers studied it and they came up with a new design for those crosswalks. For the crosswalk up on Station Road, right now one of the issues there is to have a crosswalk on one side. Under the traffic code, you have to have a sidewalk or a place to land on the other. So council would have to design some sort of a sidewalk on the other side to link them up. So that's something that's been brought to council before. It would have to be a decision of council when they want to put that crossing in. But right now, the way it's configured, it wouldn't be safe to put it in based on that interface of the intersection.
Okay, thank you. And Jason, that second comment, that's what I say, a broader discussion, and we'll.
I can address that partially. So the MKO is offering programs in-house. So they're developing them. Part of the programs that are mentioned there that still have to be grown are part of the community wellness and safety plan. So they're actually in the plan. They're not fully executed, as I said. It's a stepwise process, but a number of the initial programs are in place. And then there's meant to be more supports going on further and links to the Addictions Foundation and others. So we're lobbying right now with the province to see if we can get funding for community paramedics. So these aren't paramedics that are necessarily responding on ambulance. We're trying to get them so that they can be housed directly in the facility, otherwise nurse practitioners. But that's an ongoing discussion with the province to get them into that facility.
Yeah, and MKO has put forward a plan which we have that we'll talk to some of that stuff. That's what I'm saying is for a broader discussion. So what I want to do is just go on to Molly, I think who's next. Oh, sorry, over? And then Molly, okay. And then we have someone over.
So I'm next.
After.
After vote.
Molly, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, you scared me off when you said I had 2 minutes. Like, never in the world can I say a lot in 2 minutes. But I do have a 3-page presentation from the seniors. I'm the chairperson of the Thompson Senior Resource Center, and that's why I'm here today, to bring forward some of our thoughts. There was a census in 2023, and there were 2,330 people age 55 and older. So we do need a voice, and we need a voice to be heard. So instead of going through each of the paragraphs that we have, there's 10 of them, I'm just going to highlight by one word or one sentence. And there isn't really a question for the table. I appreciate all the information you've given us, and we'll work on that. And the first thing is lighting. Now that may be a part of Hydro's concern, but we certainly do not have at times enough street lighting and enough lighting in some of the businesses. People, as you get older, we have a little more difficult time walking and so on. And in a darkened area, that really puts our footing at risk, and we're always concerned. So a little bit of public safety for lighting would not hurt. Transportation, and at the moment, we need some form of public transportation.
in terms of a handy van. More and more of us are needing walkers and chairs, and just difficult. Mobility is an issue, is a concern. So, if we could have back into the city a handy van or a bus system or anything to rectify that, we certainly, would appreciate it. We did, as a group, receive grant money to do a little survey, and so we gave out vouchers to some of our seniors and to use the cab fare and see where they're going. And most of the time, it's hospital, clinics, physiotherapy, dental. So, it is a part of a living concern. Sidewalks. We don't need to talk about our very crumbling concrete sidewalks. Now, there are some new ones in the city, and we appreciate them. I'm not sure of the wording for them, but they're wider, and they allow that multiple people, like someone in a wheelchair and someone walking beside them, and if someone coming the opposite way, there'll be a little more room. And that would be a thought when the city is planning out areas to be refurbished. Age-friendly, and there's a guideline for some community projects for age-friendly strategic planning, and it entails that there be the seniors involved, the city involved, and another partnership. Now, for the last 3 years, we have sent letters to the city, and at this point have not had a response. And that would only, any form from any other group to assist seniors living in the community will only benefit everybody. The more that we stay in Thompson, the more money we spend. We still pay taxes and so on. So, if we could get some assistance in that regard as to partnership with them on some of these projects, we would be very thankful there as well. Dementia friendly. The Alzheimer's Society of Manitoba had developed some guidelines for dementia-friendly communities, and so we would like to urge the city, to learn about these guidelines and maybe implement some recommendations. We won't get into a recent incident at the TRCC that might be a little bit less problematic if people had the right information. Housing, not enough housing for older people. The inventory is 50 units at Rotary Place, 30 units at the Lions Manor. Can't maybe do all the maintenance that's required. So, in the summer, we have a program where we hire 5 students, and for free of charge, the senior will call us and we provide lawn cutting, window washing, and painting. But we can't do snow clearing, and we are we applaud the city for free snow removal when they're available. But of course, availability, by the time you do your major streets, your other streets, you may not get to us seniors fast enough. So there's the thought that maybe we can implement some kind of togetherness on that program. To the end, people, we're getting there. And a multi-purpose path. We had already addressed this in item 3 when we talked about it, but especially Lions Manor on Station Road. The residents there have to go to the post office because they couldn't get an inside postal delivery. And so trying to get downtown, you can appreciate, the rough and broken roads, but getting back up, it's a little bit incline. And again, we're talking mobility issues, trying to get a wheelchair up there and trying to, where other vehicles are and stuff. We might want to look at having a multi-pathway there. We extended those thoughts here. I have several copies, so if anybody in the community group there would like to receive one, I'll certainly drop it off.
We'll take one copy, Molly.
Just one more thing, please. The emergency service there, I do have some, they're called Eric kits with me. We pass them out to the, seniors mostly, but anyone can avail of it. It has a little sticker they put on their door. So when you get a call, if you find someone that can't speak for themselves, we should list their medication, any allergies, who the contact person is. If you see that little red sticker on their door, this should be on their fridge. Okay, and I have some of these to hand out as well.
Okay, thank you, Molly, and we have your report. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, and we'll go to Volker next.
Thank you very much. And first of all, congratulations to everybody on the left front. We all know there's no silver bullet here, but we have complex issues in Thompson right now and complex solutions. And, for everybody's information, I've been here 66 years. And I used to say, well, Thompson's glory days were in the 70s and 80s. And someone told me that we'll never get back to those glory days. I said, maybe not, but it can be better than it is now. And I have to say, in the last 2 or 3 years, I've been one of Thompson's biggest promoters forever. I just came from a trip to Iceland. I have 22,000 pictures on my iPhone. So when I meet people from Switzerland and Taiwan and Israel or whatever, and I show them where I live, and I show them the Wolf mural and Northern Lights and Churchill photographs, they can't believe where I live. But I've been talking to some of my friends who used to grow up and live here. They've all retired, moved away to Winnipeg, Calgary, Vancouver, and I discourage them not to come back to visit me. Why? Because I don't want them to see what's going on in downtown Thompson. To me, it's become an embarrassment, I have to say. Now I have 8 or 10 things here, but I'm only going to give you one at the moment with the question. And as you know, we've had 4 or 5 major fires in this community over the last few years. McMahon Yates, Shoppers, Westwood School, Twilight Water Ski Club, and River Cabaret. And I believe 2 or 3 of those were caused by arsonists. When the Twilight Water Ski Club building burned down, it was supposed to be transferred to the MMF, Manitoba Federation. I went to see Jelida, who's the vice president, and I said, I used to be a member of that club like 30, 40 years ago, and it irks me. I'm like, how did that thing burn down? I used to ride my bike there all the time, took pictures every evening 2 years ago when the sun set. And then like a week later, it's burned down to the ground. Well, I heard that some kids had started it. So what I did, I raised some money, I put a GoFundMe page together, looking for a reward to find out who the people were who did this. I got a text from a mother, I won't tell you her name, whose daughter said it was her boyfriend who burnt it down. But her daughter didn't want to say anything because she was worried about her boyfriend then beating her up. So she texted me information. I found out who the boys were. I found out what school they were to. And I called the police and say, I have some information here about this. I called 2 or 3 times. Nobody replied. I finally, I'm not sure if I spoke to you at the time, to say, would somebody please call me? They finally did. I gave the information and the screenshot of those names. And I waited again for another month or 2. Nothing happened. I went back to see Jelida. She was also upset. Apparently, they also had a break-in at their building at that same time. And she said, we can't have young kids running around burning buildings down. So I remember that there was a question that was asked on CHCAM on City Beat. I think Deputy Mayor Kathy Altina was here. The question came up, who's responsible for fire investigations? And Kathy's answer at the time was, no, that is handled by the fire commissioner's office. So when I heard that, I emailed him in Winnipeg and said, are you doing any arson investigations in Thompson? The answer came back and said, no, that's up to the municipality to do. So I thought, the deputy mayor is saying it's you, you're saying it's back here. And I posted my reward on the GoFundMe page, and a firefighter in public on that page said, Oker, take your stupid post off there, where I was trying to raise the reward. So July and I met, I think, a couple of months ago now, I think with yourself or whatever, and I gave the information to say, what do we have to do for somebody to interview these kids to find out who did this? Never mind the River Cabaret, never mind Westwood School. I put the information on Crime Stoppers because I was told to do that. So information was provided all in there. 6 months have gone by, there's been no response from Crime Stoppers. So my question is, who takes the lead when we have arson fires in Thompson on major properties? Who's responsible? Who's supposed to take this on?
I can answer Director Volker. Traditionally, it is the office of the fire commissioner that does the investigation for the municipality, if the municipality doesn't have an investigator. I am a fire investigator. I've investigated 3 fires since I've been in Thompson. And so we have basically kind of figured out how they were started. So going forward, we will be doing investigations internally. And and something like arson isn't the correct, the term arson isn't actually what they've done. Arson is charged there, police lay against the individual. So people kind of get those terms mixed up. But going forward, like I'll do my investigation. If I deem it's arson, I will turn my file over to the RCP and they will continue. But I mean, I will investigate or interview people that I suspect on this. But at the end of the day, I'm not the individual that charged. So it's the RCP.
And I guess my only complaint is this, nobody's responding. When I sort of give them low-hanging fruit to say, whether it's Crime Stoppers or whether it's police, say, can you please fill me in as to what you're doing? This has been 14 months later.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
So let's move on. Volker, I'm sure Chief will be more than happy to do further discussions to after that. I know we're short time. We have one last question, but I just want to clarify once again. This is not the end of the question period. We do have a committee, as I mentioned, that meets once a month. It's open to the public. You can come and be a presenter if you wish. We also have some sheets on the back there in regards to any questions anyone wants to write down. So saying that, I'll go to David. I know there's one lady back there, probably we can talk after. We do have one last question with David. David,
two questions, I'll make it really brief. First one is the fire chief. Chief, in your statement, you said that you were looking at a building for the fire and safety services. I'm wondering if a feasibility study has been done on the existing building, A. B, if there's a structure already in Thompson that the city owns that can be repurposed, and C, what the budget is for that particular building.
Yeah, so the first part of the question, has there been a feasibility study? There's a feasibility study done in 2011 by some of the former chiefs, so that is existing. The site, it's outdated. That's right. A feasibility study was done. So we put in for a grant to do an updated one based on what the projections are for the department. The second question is, are there existing structures in the the community that could be used for it? That would be part of the architect and engineer's job when reviewing the facilities that are in the community. Is there one existing? Would it have to be a new build? And the third one was,
If there was a budget.
the budget then gets, when they do the design, it will give you an estimate. So none of that's been done because we have to hire the people to do that. The estimate will come out. The 2011 one had an estimate, but that was for a smaller size department. That'll have to be updated for what the new capabilities of the department.
Okay, so in other words, there's no feasibility study because there is nothing current. It's 14 years ago, you're saying.
Right, so that's why we're doing one now. That's why we're gonna
If
do
the
that.
answer is no, there is no feasibility study currently at the time.
I think that's what I said. That-
Well, not really. You always go around your answers, that's fine.
Well,
Second, I have a second question. I'm wondering what's being done about the security at the TRCC. In particular, 2 weeks ago, a gentleman was enjoying the TRCC using the walking track and sitting in the lobby, concourse area, whatever you want to call it, enjoying a tea and watching the festivities or whatever you want to call it, exercises that were going on in the building, when he was accosted verbally by two parents asking him to vacate the facility, which he got up to go actually leave, as he was requested to do, and then he got physically accosted by another member of the public, I won't say who it is, but he got physically accosted, thrown down to the ground, his arm broken behind him, a knee in the back for over 20 minutes until the RCP responded, hauled him away, kept him in custody for over 3 hours until they realized they had nothing on this gentleman to hold him, to put him in the cell. So then they figured out finally that he had a broken arm and they had to take him to a hospital. He went to the hospital and then had to have, being flown to Winnipeg to have his arm reset properly. We need to know what the city of Thompson is going to do with the security at the TRCC for the citizens of this town to enjoy the facility that we paid millions of dollars for, that we can't enjoy ourselves.
Do you want to start by first or asking?
At the basic level, the city maintains security guards at the TRCC. We also sometimes have CSOs there depending on what's going on. In terms of the specific incident, I have no details on that. I've just been informed it happened. And I know that the RCMP had been handling that file, but once the RCMP take a file, I'm not allowed to be involved in it. So I don't have an answer given that.
Okay, thank you.
To answer something there, Sam?
I won't comment on that. With being.
Okay, so again, as a member of this community and a citizen of this, I want to know what's going to be done about the safety of the citizens in a citizen-owned structure. Nobody has answered that question.
Anthony, well, we believe that we said that we do have security guards there now. We can also discuss about how impactful they have been. Maybe develop another discussion to
A
have.
security guard didn't step in.
Okay.
If there was a security guard there, I mean, there should be a security guard there at all times, at least one, maybe two, to not only protect any of the citizens, but also all the people that enjoy the use of the facilities that are at the TRCC. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. I noticed after 8, once again, I want to encourage anyone who had other questions that they weren't able to pose or thought about after. We do have sheets that you can hand in, and we will be getting back to everyone on that. We also have some stuff that we put online. This will start the discussion, and also, once again, we have our safety committee that meets, and if you do want to come to that, it's a public meeting, third Wednesday of every month at 3 p.m. and is at the council committee room. I want to thank everyone for coming out. We really appreciate that.
And once again, it does show the commitment everyone has towards overall safety in Thompson. I think we all share the same opinion that, yes, we know we have work to do. I don't think anyone is disagreeing with that. But the main thing we want to say is that we want to be open to engagement. We want to be open to discussion. And as mentioned by one person, if this was an easy problem to solve, it would have been solved a long time. So thank you again for spending the time with us. I know some of you guys may want to see what's happening with the Blue Jays. We'll get to go and check that out. Thanks again for coming out. And do you want?
Blue Jays 2, Dodgers 1.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Have a good night.